Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a
What's
light
your
on
story?
incredible impact. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? An autistic ADHD. Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I'm your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed below my shoulders, and a power wheelchair user. I'm the Community Relations Manager at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today on accessiBe Spotlight Sessions, we are joined by Daniel Jones, an autistic and ADHD video creator and author. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Excited to have you on all the way from the UK, and let's just dive right into this. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Dan Jones. I started a YouTube channel about 10 years ago called the Aspie World, which is basically it was a place I went on to just put videos up talking about my experience of having autism. And then it just grew and grew. And now it's like my full-time gig. So, I've done things like I briefed the European Union on the gap between autistic individuals and employment. I write books. I do seminars, keynote talks. I help work with the government to help with, legislations about autism and stuff in the UK and Wales. So that's kind of like where I'm up to, and I'm just really pushing forward with. And I love what you were saying about advocating for accessibility and stuff. I'm actually heavily involved with technology companies, some startups, and some companies that I've made myself, which we're creating extremely exciting accessibility tools for autistic individuals and other disabilities as well.
That's awesome. Why are you so passionate about educating the world around ADHD, autism, and Asperger's?
It's funny. When I was a kid, I was always like, super hyperactive, and like, I was undiagnosed properly until I was in my 20s. But like, I had all this like ideas, like I wanted to do something big with the world. I wanted to do some change. I wanted to be something. I always felt like I was on a mission from God, if you will. And I was like, and I have this idea that life is happening because of you. Life happens for you, not to you, right? So I was like, I must be here. Everything must happen for a reason. God is the best of planners, and so I'm here for something, right? And so when I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, I didn't know much about it, and that led me to think, like, hey, I did 26 years of like surviving. Now I know who I am. Now I can continue to thrive, right? So maybe I could teach people what I learned in 26 years of just survival mode, that my workarounds and hacks. And I just thought, why not? There's so many. There was a lack of good content around autism and education of autism on the internet at the time I started. I mean, I was the first ever autistic influencer, right? Which is crazy, considering there's like loads of us now. And so, it was kind of like I just felt like this was it. So my calling from God, if you will. Like I was like, this is it, man. Let's go.
And so, was there within that kind of 26 years that you were talking about that kind of hit you at that 26-year mark? Was there a really big moment that was like, all right, I'm doing this?
Yeah, I first in 2013 I went on the internet to research Asperger's syndrome, because until that point of being diagnosed, I knew nothing about it. Same with ADHD, I didn't really know much about it. So I went on the internet, and then I couldn't find any videos on it. And being someone who's also dyslexic, I couldn't really look and read articles for hours because I just couldn't do that. So I was like, wow, there's no videos. Maybe I could be the guy to put some videos out. So I put a video out, and then the wow moment for me was I put one video out and I'd left it there for a couple of months. I came back to check on the video, and it had like thousands and thousands of views and like hundreds and hundreds of comments. And I was like, holy smokes, like all these people wanted like me to do more. And I was like, whoa. And I kind of just fell into it. Like this plaque here for 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, I just hit 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, so it's kind of like, I never thought I'd get to this point, but like continuing your mission and just really putting your efforts into helping people was kind of like the goal. And it was an incredible time. And the second kind of wow factor was I won an award from YouTube when I had 10,000 subscribers. I won an award called Next Up, which is an award that YouTube award new creators between 10,000 and 100,000 subscribers. And basically they give you $2,000, and then they give you like 10 days boot camp in the Google offices on the YouTube space in London or LA or wherever you live. And so I did that, and I spent like, just under 2 weeks in London with YouTube, and they kind of taught me stuff, and they kind of believed in me to do more, and I was like, wow, maybe I could do this. And it was funny because I just finished a degree in chemistry, and I did my last exam, and I hopped on a train and went straight to London and was hanging out with YouTube. So it was an incredible time, and my life has never been the same since. It's just been nuts.
Well, first of all, congratulations on hitting to the 250K.
Thanks, man.
That's very impressive, and that really means that your voice has the ability to change the world.
I hope
I
so.
know it's that audience and teaching people. It's just so important to have these conversations so that the world doesn't know what the world doesn't know until we talk about
100%.
it. We're
100%.
kind of in limbo, and it's just that's something like before having my spinal cord injury, I knew very little about the paralysis world other than that Superman was paralyzed. And then when I became paralyzed, it opened it up to a whole new world. But it's so much of it's like it's either that you get impacted by a disability for yourself personally, or through a friend or family member, or through a colleague. It's not a matter of if, but when disability makes a touch on you. And like your conversations, like if you could give one kind of, if there's one thing you wish people knew more about when it comes to ADHD and autism, what would you want to share with the world?
I would say that, and I get this question asked a lot, and the biggest thing for people on the spectrum is the lack of validation. So, you could be having a really stressed out time and having a meltdown, and a panic attack in the middle of the street because I don't know, they didn't have your sandwich bread in Subway, right? And then somebody would be like, dude, it's pathetic, grow up and just get on with it. It's sandwiches, you know what I mean? But to you, it's huge. It's a massive integral moment in that day for you. And so if people had a little bit more kind of like validation for how someone feels on the spectrum, then everything would be a lot easier to deal with. If they'd have just been like, hey, I totally get that. For you, that's huge. Well, how can we help? What can we do to move forward? So we don't have that. You see autistic individuals kind of brushed to the side, especially when you say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time, I'm on the spectrum. And they said, oh, I wouldn't tell. You're doing fine to me. It's like it's so kind of just disregarded, and and that makes you feel so much of an imposter, because it's a spectrum, and you have kids who can't speak, people who need 24-hour care, but then you have people like myself who are able to articulate themselves verbally and create a job for myself and things like that. So when people dismiss your disability, you kind of feel horrible. You feel like, oh, they think I'm like making it up, or just what I mean. So it's horrible. So validation is huge.
Well, like it just seems like you're living, or when these events happen and somebody doesn't truly understand it, it's like you're living in two different worlds, or your feelings are just like, are my feelings real? Like it's just got to be so frustrating to like not be able to connect or express kind of like these internal things that are going on in my mind, my body. It's like these are real, and it's like if you could feel this, we could speak the same language of sort. And
100%.
and I love asking this question. What is the first thing that comes to mind for you when you hear the word accessibility?
The first thing that comes to mind when I hear the words accessibility, funny enough, I think there's two things that come to mind. First of all is the use of my iPhone. Without an iPhone, I would be completely useless. And I hold much of my success down to the iPhone. The fact that I can highlight text and have it speak to me. The fact that it reminds me to take my medication for ADHD every day at the same time. The fact that it alerts me if like I'm going to be late for an appointment. Like everything can be scheduled in there. I can talk to Siri and get him to do things. And the second thing is the lack of accessibility that autistic individuals have within any public setting. There's always accommodations, or there's legal stature for accommodations for people like wheelchair users, for instance, right? If there was no ramp available in a public access area like a police station or a hospital or a library, I mean, we could take the councils or the government to the courts and be like, dude, what are you doing? But for autism, there is no accessibility level. Nobody cares. If you've got a neurological condition, they say, well, it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's like going back into the dark ages of disability. So when I hear accessibility, I think about the lack thereof, but how I'm able to use things like iPads. Honestly, like apps and iPads for autistic and ADHD people change the world. Like change the world. Like my girlfriend always says this. She says she doesn't mind me spending, $1,700 on an iPhone every other year because she's never known someone to use every single feature on an iPhone before, And the accessibility of iPhone is unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. Like it's unbelievable.
I agree with you. With Apple's done an incredible job of thinking about disability within their apps and their product, and it's.
Yeah.
I remember my injury took place in 2004. I was in waist high water in the ocean. a wave picked me up and dropped me on my head and just shattered my neck, shattered my world.
Holy
And
smokes.
I was an 18-year-old, college tennis player at the time, and then became paralyzed below my shoulders. But like the iPhone didn't even exist yet, and I remember when
No.
it first came out, how game changing it was, and it was just
Yeah.
like as technology kept evolving since my injury, it's so as my independence has evolved,
Yes. Yes.
and it's just incredible the impact, and I'm just so excited to see what happens next with technology and AI and everything else of the sort. That
I'm working on
it's
it. I'm telling you, like, yeah, I'm working on some pretty huge AI tech, like for accessibility, dude. You're gonna like, honestly, it's gonna blow your mind.
I love that. Well, gotta keep in touch about that,
Yeah,
and
100%.
then let's keep going down this road with technology.
Okay.
What role do you think really technology has as it pertains to kind of inclusion, specifically for the autism and ADHD community?
You know, it's going to be the main driving force that allows people to become integrated more into society. Because at the moment, what I see is that you have people who are neurodivergent or neurodiverse, sorry, who are ostracized from society because things like, I couldn't take a cab, a typical cab. I was in New York in 2007, and I couldn't take a cab because I couldn't talk to the cab driver. It was too overwhelming for me to talk to the cab driver, give him money, figure out the money thing, tell him where I'm going to go. It was a lot. But every time I'm in LA or London, I go on my phone, I go to Uber, I go to Google Maps, and I say, "Where's the place I need to go to?" I copy and paste the postcode. The Uber driver, you can say, "I don't want to talk," and then you pay them through the app. If you just pull up, you got a picture of their number plate, so you just know who they are. You get in the back of the car, they don't say anything to you, they drop you your location, and everything's done through PayPal. Unbelievable. So that type of technology is like 10x the integration of what I'd say normalization, not normal in the term normal, normalization of a flat wave of things like, being able to be independent by using a cab, being able to go to the grocery store now and have a grocery store list with icons on my phone that I can use to identify in the store what I'm going to buy. You know what I mean? Like it's changing the game. Even like remembering to do things. Like I have no short term working memory, right? It just doesn't happen. So if you said to me, "Hey, Dan, let's go for a beer or something like 2 weeks from today, and we'll put it in our diaries," like if I put that in a diary, it would stay there, nothing would happen. I have to be proactive and be like, "Hey, Siri or Alexa or whatever, remind me on this day, 2 hours before that, I'm going to this drinks with with blah blah blah, whatever." So it's it's not only allowing independence and integration into society, but it's creating a confident person as well, because you can be confident to be like, yeah, I can do those things. I can meet you there at that time. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's everything. If you don't have confidence, you have nothing. And the neurodivergent community has the number one issue is lack of self confidence and self awareness.
Can you say it one more time? The lack of what? I just make sure
Lack
I
of
heard that.
self confidence and self awareness. Those two things is the biggest game change. Like they're the biggest game players. Like that's what we're missing in our community.
And so much of what you were saying earlier about kind of the world, the scary world of people just not knowing what you're feeling or going through or thinking, and because it's so much of it is invisible or kind of a hidden in that sense. But like creating that kind of consistency through the app creates a world that you can like merge the two worlds together to kind of
100%.
have that. All right, this is
100%.
what my needs are, or this is the environment I want to create. Oh my God, we're creating it. And it's like that
Exactly.
consistency comes to that confidence that you were saying.
Dude, check this out. I literally I don't know if you saw the Meta Connect event that just happened with Mark Zuckerberg about 2 or 3 days ago. I was watching this event on Friday night where they introduced their new VR machines, because everyone who works for the Aspie world, my team, we all have virtual reality headsets and we meet up in Horizon Workspaces, which is a metaverse platform. Now, I just bought the Quest 3 because, look, if you and I were playing virtual reality video games together, you'd have just as much accessibility as I would, regardless of our physical abilities, right? And I think that is unbelievable. So it goes a step further than that, right? That the metaverse that Zuckerberg is helping to kind of pioneer is, I just bought the Ray-Ban smart glasses from Meta, the new ones. And what they can do is you can look at something and say, "Hey, Facebook, what am I looking at?" and it will tell you, will descriptively tell you through AI, these things are AI ready, tell you what you're looking at. This is a game changer for me, because sometimes I see something, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. It could be a sentence, it could be a person, it could be a thing. And what happens, because autism is a communication difficulty, sometimes I can't identify what I'm looking at a lot of the time. So these glasses have just like upscaled my ability to become independent, right? Again, building confidence and building self-awareness. But you can take it a step further, where when we have those an overlay smart glasses like the Apple View, or what's it called, Apple Vision, which is the glasses that they announced the other week. When you're putting augmented reality into full color pass through mode, where you're seeing the world, but you have the ability for augmented reality to layer stuff on top of you, what you can have is, a bunch of text could be read with AI and turned into symbols for autistic people to digest and understand, because we're more visual learners than we are written verbal learners, right? So that level of accessibility, as soon as AI augmented reality becomes wearable through full color pass through, honestly, you are going to see like 90% increase in the ability for someone to become independent on the autism spectrum. Like it's like nothing else you've ever seen. And I'm working in that field right now, dude.
The one big thing that I would be curious and would love to talk with you more about is I love the VR world, but so much of it is hand operated. Obviously, voice control, eyes control, it has potential, but like continuing to make sure, because I can't move my arms, so it's like I'm usually having like my caregiver have
You
the different
yeah,
things in their hands, and I'm saying, please move it like this.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it'd be so cool to keep finding ways to allow all abilities to kind of get out of their reality into virtual reality.
100%. Then the Apple. This is why I mentioned the Apple Vision. I don't know if you've watched the whole keynote on it, but you use your eyes to select the things. This is what I mean. So
There
if
we
you and I were
go.
playing, yeah, if you and I were playing a game with you Apple Vision, like you wouldn't know if one of us had any issue with our movement. You know what I mean? Because it allows you to be something else, and that's what I was saying. Like, it's so incredible. Like, I'm such like, and I'll tell you something else. Right now, hand gestures, like, you used to have to use triggers within the VR world, right? But now they've got hand tracking capability, which is pretty amazing. But something I've noticed on the Meta Quest is that my eyes, where I'm looking inside them in the field of vision, because obviously they have a point of field where they say this is where your anchor point is. So when you move your head, you're seeing 360, right? But they know where your eyes are, and it's projecting out like an arrow from my eyes. So they're already working on that, and I think they can implement that technology without even having to upgrade the hardware. You know what I mean? They can just send you a software update over the internet. So I don't think it's somewhere distant in the future. I'm thinking within the next 18 months you're going to be able to use AI with you, VR with your eyes. 100%, dude. I'm telling you now.
Daniel, sign me up. I love it.
It's
And
so
then
good.
this is a good segue to tech, to the busy holiday season fast approaching. And what
Yeah.
do you wish you could see more brands and businesses do around accessibility and inclusion?
For businesses, I think I'd love to see big businesses, like Walmart and kind of like Target and stuff. I'd love to have like Autism Day, where they allow, like, they turn off the music, they dim the lights a little bit. All the shopkeeping is told to be at a lower kind of tone and a less fast pace, because you go to a mall or a grocery store or any kind of store like Target, like a mixed one, right? Like Target, and then like people are running around 100 miles an hour, and that's just any time during the summer. You go there at Christmas, it's like 10x. So, for me to do my shopping, I have to do it online. And a lot of that time, the online isn't accessible because, the websites don't work that well, and I literally I was on BBC Radio 4 a couple of days ago doing a talk about this, saying how retailers are missing something like 120 billion UK pounds because they're not accommodating for people with disabilities who have a hard time accessing, you know, online retail and offline retail. So it's kind of like, I wish they just have that accessibility implemented there. So they say, let's have an autism day. You know what I mean?
Just there's so much money on the table, and
It's
also
so much
just kind
money.
of, and the full understanding, kind of like really, as a person with ADHD and autism, like, do you feel more brand loyal when someone really embraces the access and inclusion, and do you come back when they do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yes and no. I get annoyed about it. Like, so Tesco is a huge UK supermarket, right? And so I do my grocery shopping online now, but Tesco is a place where they have autism hour, so 1 hour every month, which isn't enough. They do this dim lights, making sure everyone talks quieter, and they turn the music off and make it a nice ambient kind of place to shop. So it's more calming, thank goodness. And it's good, and I'll go back there for that. But then it also makes me angry because I'm like, why just 1 hour, dude? Like, let's make this. Can we not just normalize this? But I'm working on technology to overcome this. So because this is the thing, the shops ain't going to do it, I'll do it. You know what I mean? So this is, again, it's huge. Like, I'm so excited to release this stuff. It will all be out soon. I can't talk because obviously I'm on an NDA and I'm a director of this company, so I can't talk about it yet. But I will be. You'll see it. It's launched on all my platforms very soon.
Well, everybody listening right now, you got to follow Daniel to learn when it does come out. So make sure you hit up his Instagram and YouTube and all the above. But Daniel, thank you so much for being our guest
Josh,
today on
been a pleasure.
accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions.
Thank you, man.
And to all of our listeners that have stayed to the end, make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us at accessiBe_community. And as always, thank you so much for being on this journey with us. Bye, everyone. Bye, Daniel.
Peace. Bye-bye.